And he is 1-0 against Zerg, but
he was the other guy who went 0-5 like SOS. SOS, of course, skyrocketed out of his little losing streak he did have there in the beginning of round 1, but Hydra taking a little bit of a slower rocket, I guess. He's slowly starting to come back into his play. He's starting to play better and better. And I definitely understand why you guys voted for him in this one.
Yeah. It was funny. I thought my choice would be so controversial when I posted it. We have like a little group where we post our predictions, and when I posted it, I said like, "Don't freak out, guys. I think he's got this one." Then everyone agreed with me except you. I was like, "Whoa!" I guess I was.
You did
not
a good job
in
convincing them.
I thought they were all going to freak out, but SoulKey 6-6. He led the charge for his team recently, though has been slumping a little bit. And if he keeps his wits about him, I think he certainly could take it. But I like Hydra's chances more. And Hydra is the master of ZVZ timings. Roach Hydra, Roach speed with speedling zergling, or speedling Roach attacks, that kind of thing. And the map is Outboxer, a 2-player map with a short rust distance. Could play into Hydra's favor. Let's find out. If Hydra takes it, it's all over. SoulKey needs a win to bring us to the ace match.
Up here in the top left on Outboxer. In the yellow for CJ Entis, the Zerg player who is slowly trying to get out of a slump, it is Hydra.
And to the bottom right in orange for SKT, it's SoulKey. Seems to be a bit of trouble recently. This matchup has been troubling for him oftentimes as well, especially when he faces Shine.
He still has not won a game against Shine. So far, these two guys 1-0. SoulKey does take that one, but it is only one game. Here's Hydra's win ratio so far: 0-5 in round 1, but 2-0 here in round 2. Definitely practicing a ton more.
Yeah.
And I remember when Dongergu was picked in the ace match against SoulKey in that most recent match that they had, and we were like, what? And then he actually took it, because Dongergu was so terrible, to be honest, in the ace matches, high-pressure situations, recently. And then he was actually able to take it. And then SoulKey was a guy who was so good at ZVZ and actually fell in that matchup. It was a very, very surprising moment.
It seemed like the beginning of an unfortunate turning point against SoulKey in some ways. Now, these players are both going to go hatch first here. So there is going to be a little bit of downtime in this match before anything too crazy happens, or even going into super greed mode with the additional drones. Wow, both of them. Two more. Like, they're both going to take a gas to him. Like, whoa. Like, both add another hatchery at the third base. I'm like, guys, you know your opponent's Zerg, right? Wow, they both did take the gas. Wow. There must be some aspect of this map that I'm not seeing that makes it so that ZVZ, you can play greedy here. Maybe they're both just so confident in their defenses. This would be like death against an early pool, almost certainly.
Yeah. But if both players do go for it, we're going to have a very similar startup to this game. It's going to be very interesting as we go in. Both players playing very greedily on an economic standpoint.
Yeah, economically.
Economically.
Say.
Yeah. And
English is tough.
It is. It's really hard, man. I have trouble with it sometimes.
Me too. I know you and I speak English on television for a living. Can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I wonder how this is going to get played out. I feel like they're both going to go down different paths here. Hydra is going to pick a timing. He's just going to go with it. They both have gas, so we're not seeing that four queen passive sit back and wait style and get extra drones, get extra mineral income, then switch. They're both going right into speed, and they've both seen this now with their Overlord scouts. So what I expect is that they're both going to add a defensive Baneling nest, and it's going to be a kind of a game of chicken for a little while. Like, who's gonna take the faster tech? Who's going to switch things up? We actually don't see speed for Hydra.
Yeah, he started the speed, but he actually canceled it. he didn't continue with the speed, and on the other side of things, SoulKey has Baneling Nest on the way.
I think probably defensively, as you know, it's Hydra, and Hydra has shown the ability to do speedling all-ins. Big heavy commitments to that. And as a result, without his own Baneling Nest, Hydra does have to make the Spine Crawler at home.
Yeah. Hydra did actually go for 2 drones before the 4 zerglings, whereas SoulKey did go for the 4 zerglings. So
yeah,
he does have those
2
extra drones. He's going to use one of them on that Spine Crawler.
Oh my god, SoulKey's actually going to be the attacker here. 14 zerglings. And, you know, I think this may be a split decision choice where he says, you know what, Hydra, I know you are a player who's actually normally geared up for aggression, normally geared up for attacks. I'm not sure how well you're going to handle this, how well you're going to respond to this. 4 Banelings being morphed already. Zerglings across the map. And you know what? He actually starts drones behind this. So he's going to force perhaps a lot of defense to be made. Oh, I don't know about this. He breaks the Baneling, or he breaks the Spine Crawler, but...
Yeah, does get the Spine Crawler, but there's 3 queens here. Actually opens it up to allow them to get surrounded. There is a transfuse down here, but now drones have to fight another nice transfuse, but one goes down. Now he's going to go right into the main.
This is painful. Good spot there on the queen. That's why that spawning pool is put there, but he's going to have to fight with drones here, forcing a lot of zerglings to be made. And back at home with the droning going up for SoulKey. He takes the lead. He's actually going to drop 2 Banelings over here. This forces the queen out of its safe place.
Surrounds it now. There's no transfuse. He's here. He actually has to focus that down, make sure he gets it. He does.
And, uh-oh, here we go. That's a lot of zerglings lost, regardless that he kills the Baneling. Damages a lot of drones, which means he can target those down easily as well. Looks like he may go for, I was going to say he was going to go for a queen, but those are yellow zerglings, not orange ones. It's like... hurting my eyes.
We were talking about this before in the first match. A yellow versus orange for Zerg. It's hard to call, but...
Well, especially for me, who's, like, quite possibly slightly colorblind. Like, I failed a few colorblind tests in my recent life. I passed most of them, but sometimes I'm like, nah, I can't see the 69, but he runs 2 Zerglings in here. I mean, it's a speed advantage, so he is going to be able to sneak his way through. Sees the lair timing.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to run around for a bit here, as long as he does micro. And he has a 3rd base on the way, SoulKey does. But, of course, Hydra is going to get that in his view. And he's going to morph into Overseer, actually. Going to try to get that into the main.
Well, let's look at some numbers. 46 Harvesters to 41 right now in favor of Hydra. And, you know, he has a slightly faster +1. He's got a slightly faster roach speed, and he's got double Evo Chambers now going into both of the upgrades. And his 3rd hatch isn't too far behind. That's going to give him some extra production against the attack that may be coming here soon for SoulKey. SoulKey is making a lot of roaches right now. No more drones. And I think he might actually just commit here. I mean, it's entirely possible. He's making 1 more Overlord right now even, which isn't necessary for him right now supply-wise. It's just a matter of him like getting ready so when he does have the gas, he can drop down more roaches. He's definitely going to attack here.
He's got a very, big ball of roaches right here, and he definitely could go for it. This is interesting here. Hydra's going to try to break down those rocks and make it harder for SoulKey to take that 4th base if he decides to go over there.
Now, all the roaches have been seen by Hydra with his Overseer. He's actually going to lose his Zerglings really slow. He's not going to be able to protect the rocks anymore, or kill the rocks, I suppose. Okay, now he's moving out. He really needs to do damage here because he's going to find himself at a massive upgrade disadvantage. He's actually already at an upgrade disadvantage now. Before his +1 is done, Hydra's +1 is already done. And I don't know how much this is going to... I don't know how well this is going to work. Let's see.
I don't know. They're both going to have +1 for attack and speed, but I'm not sure if SoulKey wants to commit to this. I mean, with the queens there as well for transfuses, he just needs the better roach count, and the longer he waits, the +1 is going to come down for armor and finish there, as Hydra did get the 2 evolution chambers, and SoulKey's not going to go for the attack. He's going to back off.
He needs to... Well, he gets a +2 attack right away, and attack is much more important than armor in this matchup, so at least he's not too far behind in that sense. But when it becomes that he's down 2 levels in Carapace, that's a problem. Worker count is actually in his favor as he drones up heavily after faking the attack, forcing roaches to be made. But it's kind of evened out at this point. So the only thing that he really needs is that 2nd Evo chamber, and now he's started it.
Yeah. That's really basically, like you mentioned, it's the only thing is behind it now. Hydra's going to start a bunch of roaches here and try to even up that count of roaches. There were a bunch of nice contaminates that went onto two of those hatcheries back at SoulKey's base, so that was very nice at Hydra. Try to delay the larva of SoulKey.
Yeah, this is a strong roach attack. Like, I don't want to say he's feigning an attack, because if he sees a blood in the water, he can actually commit to it and try to do damage to that hatchery. But just the fact that he moves around like this means that Hydra constantly has to keep his roach count in check. You know, he has to make sure it's high enough to where he's not being too greedy here. They're both nearing max out at this point. The oh, okay. That was
okay. I was looking at that and I'm like, why is that stopped? Okay, it's the contaminate on the plus 2 to attack coming across for Hydra.
Hydra's just gonna try to like barrel his way through here. No, he can't. Not against this many roaches.
Yeah, I mean the reinforcements for SoulKey are much closer, especially with the larva coming out of the third base. So it would be very dangerous to attack here. But if he feels, I mean, this is something you just got to go by ear. You got to look at the roaches of your opponent and be like, do I have more? And if you feel confident, you go for it.
And 62 to 61, I mean, they are dead even, basically.
Yeah, and they're about to be, you know, the +1 for the army of SoulKey is not going to be done. And if Hydra goes in here, he's going to have the upgrade advantage. But the concave is good, and reinforcements are close, but Hydra's going for it.
All right, well, this is an interesting experiment. We're going to find out if the concave or the +1 armor is actually more important in this situation. Units even on the high ground here for SoulKey. Brings the queen over, and I think we have our answer. The Carapace is going to finish for SoulKey in the middle of this fight, too. I think this was a bad choice. Damage always more important in a fight than defense. In a situation where roaches fire so slowly, they do a ton of damage. So that small mitigation of the damage is not as important because of the burst. It's just like you have a small shield against this burst, which is, you know, bursting more properly than yours is because he has the concave and he has units on the high ground that are untargetable. So a good trade here for SoulKey. He wins the fight.
Yeah. And if you look at the gas right now for Hydra, he has a ton that's not being used here. It looks like SoulKey has more roaches here. The upgrades have evened out as well. Concave is very good for both players, and reinforcements for SoulKey coming in here.
This is actually such a close fight. One of the most even fights we've seen in the ZVZ. Some Zerglings trying to actually get in there and do more damage. The roach count is better for SoulKey, but because most of his roaches at the back aren't fighting it, they're constantly fighting with even numbers. And now the Transfuse will push him through this. He has a lot more reinforcements. Like you said, the resource management for Hydra a little bit lacking here. He has too much gas he can't spend, whereas SoulKey's able to spend his minerals and his gas consistently. And he's actually going to push his way through. He now draws a wedge between the natural and the third base. Defender's advantage coming into play once more, and he chases back. A few more SoulKey roaches coming up. SoulKey's 30 armies supply up. Not all of it is with his army right now, but with these reinforcements, I think he's just got too much momentum here, Brendan.
Yeah, it looks like he will, especially when the reinforcements come across. Equal on upgrades now. He's got the queens on the way as well for Transfuse.
And now he's really going to drive that wedge through. Even trapping some of these units here. Now the queens participating in the fight, want to give some extra transfuses, trying to drop things down. But all the speedlings coming through. A great choice for reinforcements here for SoulKey because he knows they can get across the map so much faster. And it looks like this may actually just be it. I think he might survive a little bit longer. But he pulls the drones.
Yeah, he's going to fight with the drones. He's waiting on an army supply.
Yeah,
SoulKey floating a lot of minerals here. Just kind of, you know, very confident he's going to take this one. SoulKey leaning back in his chair. And he's going to force this ace match here. Going to bring it to 2-2. Finally winning a ZVZ here.
And you were right. You know, he's the better player. GG. Crowd goes crazy. SoulKey is massively fan favored today here in the studio in this matchup.
Oh yeah, I mean even Hydra from Brood are having a bunch of fans. SoulKey has made a big name for himself as one of the best zergs we have in Korea and in the world. He does show better than he's been showing recently. Does take a nice ZVZ against Hydra, and he's happy about it.
Yeah, certainly is. And I don't know, man. Who do you think we're gonna see here?
I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, actually. I got to, like, look over both these rosters. There's, like, so many good players on both teams right now.
Do you think they're going to send SoulKey?
I don't want to see SoulKey. I feel like this was his match to win. Like, you're putting too much pressure on him to send him out again. Like, he's not doing that good recently.
I think we're going to see a PvP with Hero versus Rain.
I was thinking Rain.
That's what I think is the best